When I got a download that told me I was going to talk about shame, from shame to fame, I was like, uh-oh. There's a lesson for me to get in this, because you usually teach what you need to learn about yourself, you know. And I have found with every soul talk, with every reading that I've done, that there is some nugget that was perfect for me to pay attention to. But shame, it was like, So I, Googled and tried to get a definition, and it was very vague, guilt and shame, and, they were intertwined and yet not intertwined, and it was very confusing. And I just decided, well, okay, I'm just going to let Spirit direct me. And that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm just talking until Spirit tells me what to say. And the first thing that I heard this morning when I arrived was that guilt and shame are anchors that keep you in your past. And they're not even real. That's the kicker. Shame is what you do to yourself. It's the poison that you drink. It's the language that you speak. It's how you hide from your true self. It's how you keep from navigating in the world, free to express who you really came here to be. And guilt is what you feel like you've done to others. And there's no value in any of that, because there are no victims. We all know that. There are absolutely no victims. Everyone has made an agreement to be part of your drama for your growth, and vice versa. It's just beautifully, beautifully designed. So I had to look at, well, what was my shame, and where did it come from? And so I started investigating, okay, shame. I think it started when I was very, very young, very, very young. I always knew I was gay, didn't know the word for it, but coming from a Christian Latin background, that definitely was not acceptable, especially not with my father. And so being who I am, authentically who I am, was dangerous. It was dangerous to be. And there was shame associated because I wasn't like everybody else. I didn't realize that I carried that anchor along with me up until, a few months ago. That inherent within me is a level of shame. I've already come out of the closet. I don't feel like I have any shame about that. But the residue of it is there. It's there when I speak, and I'm careful that I don't offend. I'm careful that I don't say something that I'll be embarrassed about. And it has no rationale in that. And so I went and saw a wonderful woman who does charts, but she's very intuitive. And she said, well, we need to get to the core of this. Long story short, the story that I keep telling myself over and over again, or told until recently, is that I'm a fraud. Now, where does that come from? It comes from the guilt and shame as a child. So I couldn't be who I wanted to be. So whether you loved me or gave me accolades or anything, it was for that persona that I put out there, but not the me that I really was. And it kept me from really expressing who I really, really was. It put me in fantasy land of someday, one day when but not into my present. I kept moving from my present, navigating in the past, and then projecting into a future. And that became my narrow now. And what I get from my guides is, and this has been really, really strong for the last 6 months, is that the past is done. And I've been saying that every month at Soul Talks, and until everybody really gets that the past is done. My guides say, you will not find your answers in the past. They're not there. You can go back and investigate who you were and say, oh, and that's the reason why I am this way today. And you can stay anchored in that belief. Or you can say, I'm done. Who am I today? I don't know. And it's good. As long as you put "and it's good," you keep that egoic part of you that only knows the past from saying, oh, I think I know, based on your diary, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, I know you. You know, you'll never know. You're not going to be that. So it keeps me anchored in a past that kind of like makes me say things like, well, I need to be humble. But I have no idea what humility is, because I'm so self-centered, because it's all about me. It's all about my pain. It's all about me projecting onto you. It's me, 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 me. Nowhere am I connecting with all, that we're all divinely connected, that we're all one, and that we came here with a unique purpose. So I started to think like, well, okay, shame and guilt is useless. And then I heard a voice and said, no, don't make it that simplistic. Shame and guilt is good. And I'm like, okay. How can shame and guilt be good? Like I said, shame is a poison that you take. Guilt is the way that you beat yourself up or beat other people up with. So you believe. And then it came to me. I can be shamed by bad behavior and decide I don't want to be that anymore. I can feel guilty to a point and realize somehow there's nothing I can do about it. Because when I do, like in 12-step work, when I go and tell somebody, I'm sorry for hurting you, and they go, what? You know, it was my self-centeredness. It was my belief in my shame, in my guilt, in my pain, that I assumed that I was that powerful to affect you. So I thought, well, okay, we've got the guilt and shame part. How does that lead to fame? Well, so I looked up fame. Fame was like, you know, you're on the physical plane, you're well known, you know, or you're either famous or infamous. Either way, you're bigger than life, and your ego is bigger than life, and your problems are bigger than life, and your joys are bigger than life. But it's all an illusion. All of it is an illusion. It's what society put on you. It's what you accepted, but you haven't gone within to look at your soul value. You haven't gone within to look at your spiritual journey, your spiritual DNA. And by the way, spiritual DNA is divine nature activated. That's the true divine nature activated that you need to connect with. Not the supposedly DNA that says, this is who I'm going to be. It doesn't really work that way. It'll work for a while, but it really doesn't work that way. That's what I'm finding out. So how do I get to fame? If fame is an illusion of a physical world, and it's not really real, and it's manufactured, then why would I want, and shame isn't real, and guilt isn't real, then none of this stuff is real. Then why am I talking about from shame to fame? Well, it's our way of navigating and having contrast. Usually when I think of fame, it's because I've reached my level of growth. I've made it. Either I've made it bad or but in my mind, I'm not infamous. I've made it. I've come from shame, guilt, fame, all of that stuff. I'm at the top of my game. But Spirit says, no. Fame from a spiritual point of view is when you intend to be all that you came here to be. No excuse. Think about that. I came here to be all that I could be. No excuse. No fear. Just the knowing that I said yes. That was the intention. I said yes. I'm coming. I want to be here. I got something to share. I got a voice to speak. I got something to do. I don't know what it is, but I came here because I have an urge. I have a pulling from Spirit to be all that I can be. So if we focus on that, you can't have guilt and shame in the same place. It just cannot exist. If you're locked into the idea of, I don't even want to use the word idea, if you're locked into the truth of who you are, how can you be ashamed of that? How can you feel guilty about being that? So when I got it, it was like, wow. So guilt and shame on the flip side of the coin is what I did so that I could remember who I really am and take my rightful place in the universe. Wow. So I don't have to rely on karma. I don't have to go to a psychologist. I don't have to go through a psychologist. At least that's what my guides say. I think that's kind of radical. I'm still working that one out. And they're saying, really, you don't need to do that from a spiritual point of view. All you need to do is just say past done, and it's a done deal, and you're new. If we could stay in our present, I mean, the present is new. It's brand new. I want to invite you to really look at that. Next time you feel guilty or you feel ashamed, that you tell yourself, oh, that's my story. It's just a story. It's not the truth of who I am. Oh, I can make a new story. I think my new story is going to be, I am all that. I think I'll make that my story. So when someone says to me, boy, you're full of yourself, instead of me defaulting to, like I did, and I actually had that happen to me when I did a workshop. And someone asked me, well, where'd you get this information? I said, well, Spirit. And he goes, boy, you're really full of yourself. First thought, oh, no, you didn't. That was my first thought, honestly. Second thought was, oh, my God, I'm found out. I'm a fraud. I don't have a CD. I don't have a book. I don't. Lack. Negated everything that I got from Spirit. Nowhere did I give it to Spirit. It was, oh, lack. But what came out of my mouth was, why, yes, I am full of myself, and I'm going to be so much more, and so can you. And in that instant, I got it. We came here to be all that, to be all filled up. So if someone tells you, boy, you're full of yourself, say, why, yes, I am. Thank you for noticing. Oh, my God. You're so right. And conversely, if they say, well, you know, I think you're an asshole. Say, well, let me think on that. I've had many lifetimes. Yes, I did that very well. I think I was the very best asshole you ever met in your life. Yeah, I did that very well. Thank you for recognizing that in me. Because, you know, I'm so grateful that I was that asshole. Wow. Oh, well. And just go on about your business. It doesn't land. It doesn't land because you know who you are. And so fame is the realization that you got it. I have reached the best place that I can be. And that is knowing that I'm a magnificent being of light, no exception. And that possibility is my gateway for me to create anew. I'm not going to find my answers here in the past. I'm open to the present. And I can meditate and envision a brighter future, because that's where my guides are. That's where my higher self is. That's where unlimited potential is. That's where I get desire. That's where I get the aha moment that I can filter into my now. That's where I get to interpret with my brain of unlimited possibilities. And even that is limited because it's within my brain. Because my higher self is so huge, like that example in the meditation that I gave, where you reach down and look and there's a whole universe in your hand. I had that experience, and it blew me away that I was that magnificent and that huge. But what it did for me was it took me out of self-centeredness, because I realized if I was that, every one of us in this reality is that. And this is just a tiny, tiny fragment. Like when I looked at that ball and said, oh, there's the whole solar system of Earth. Oh, and there's that little blue ball, Earth. And somewhere there is JG. And then my mind exploded, and I'm in every one of those. Every one of those is unlimited possibilities. Every one of those is, if I focus my attention on it, boom, I'm there. And that's being fed to my higher self. And then that's given back to me in aha moments, in flashes of inspiration. So that's where fame is. Fame is right there. It's when you give yourself permission and you intend that you will not play small. You intend that everything you do has not been a mistake. Everything you have done up until this moment has been perfectly designed for you to wake up to this moment. Only. It's like, and I'll close with this. The ego says, oh, I did this and it failed, and I tried that over there and I wasn't that good at it, and this one over here, I mean, I really was the best, better than anyone else in the world, but I won't let them know that. And, oh, this one over here, oh, I'm just so ashamed of my performance, and it goes on and on. Spirit says, oh, are you noticing something? It's just like, oh. It has no judgment. It just recognizes that it's an oh moment. Oh. So I want to move from that okay? Because I have gone through life, what's going to happen to me next? What's going to happen to me next? So I want to guide you how you get to that wow stage. It's like I start off with, wow. So I want to move from the to the, and then I can harvest miracles. Thank you.